everybody, in this video we're going to talk about quadratics vocabulary and we're going to go over all of these different definitions and what they mean. Okay, so let's start with a reminder of what a quadratic function is. Remember, it is a polynomial with the highest degree of 2. We can write the quadratic function 3 different ways. So we're going to kind of talk about this unit. We're going to talk about standard form. We're going to talk about intercept form, and then lastly, we're going to talk about vertex form, okay? So what's really important about quadratics is that when you're looking at a graph, they always have a U shape. It can be up or down, and then we're always going to have a exponent of x squared. That's going to be the highest, right? So here we have x squared. Okay, so there's your overview. Now we're going to talk about the different vocabulary words associated with this. So we have concavity, vertex, which could be a maximum or a minimum. We're going to talk about the axis of symmetry, the y-intercept, and lastly, the x-intercept. So here's kind of a graphic of those, but we're going to go deeper into them right now. Okay, let's start off with concavity. Concavity describes how the graph opens, and it's always going to open up or down. So if we have a smiley face, we have concave up, and if you have a frowny face, it's going to be concave down. Now, when we're looking at a equation versus the graph, we're always looking at the a value. So if y'all see here, there's the a value, a value, a value. It's going to be the same in 3 different forms, and it's just going to determine if it's positive, it's going to be a happy face, and if it's negative, it's going to be a sad face. So we're going to look to see if it's positive or negative based on that a value. So that's how we know concavity. All right, next we're doing the vertex. So that is the maximum or minimum point of a quadratic. So here we have the vertex. So it's always kind of at the center of that U shape. And if it's the highest, it's going to be the maximum. And then if it's at the bottom, it's going to be the minimum. Pretty self-explanatory here. So that's the vertex. The vertex will always, always, always split it down the middle. Okay, speaking of splitting down the middle, this is our axis of symmetry, okay? So the axis of symmetry is a line that splits the graph exactly down the middle. So it's always going to go through the vertex. So here's our vertex right here. The axis of symmetry is this line that is dotted right here. And because it is a line, we always have to write x equals the number. So here I would say x is equal to what point does it go through? 2, okay? And then lastly, it's always going to go through the vertex, like I said. So that's the axis of symmetry. What's nice is if you have the vertex, x comma y, it's always the x value of the vertex. All right, y-intercept, again, is where it crosses the y-axis. This is always going to be written as a point 0, comma, whatever it is. So here we would fill in 2 here. Remember that when we're talking about points, we do x first because we're not moving left and right any. It's going to be 0, so it's going to be 0, comma 2. All right, and lastly, we're almost done. So the x-intercept is obviously where it crosses the x-axis, but a reminder, we can sometimes call these roots, zeros, or solutions. So those all kind of mean the same things. Now, when we're talking about quadratics, we can have up to 2 roots, all right? So we could start with 0, we could have no roots. Here's the x-axis, right? So if it doesn't cross the x-axis, we're gonna write no solution. Sometimes it can hit it only once, so this would be 1 solution, and then obviously we could have 2 solutions if it crosses twice. So just know that you could have any of those options, and because we're talking about a point, remember we have to write it x comma y, so in this case we could say maybe this is negative 2 comma 0, or this is 2 comma 0. So remember the 0 goes second in your x-intercept. All right, one last example, we're going to look at this function, and then we're going to talk about all of these different vocabulary words. So the concavity, it is facing down. It's a frowny face. So we're going to say concave down. The vertex, remember that's the highest or lowest point. So it's right here. And this is at 2, 1. And it is at the top. So it is a maximum. The axis of symmetry goes right down the middle and is always the x value of our vertex. So I don't even have to look at my graph. I'm just going to say, hey, the x value is equal to 2, and then I can draw my line. My y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so I'm going to go down here. It is at 0, negative 3. Again, be careful how you write that point. And then our x-intercepts, we actually have 2 here. My first one is 1, comma 0, and my second one is 3, comma 0. So you're going to be given these graphs, and you're going to have to name all of these things here. All right, if you guys have questions, come find me. If not, I'll see y'all in the next one.